Welcome to this CPD Mashbite all about poetry. In this short Mashbite video, we will explore some ideas of how you can use the Purple Mash tools and resources to inspire the poets in your class. The first thing I'm going to do is to dive into the English subject area here from the homepage in Purple Mash, and then into writing genres and into the poetry area here. This contains a range of poetry templates that you can use to get your children writing, such as cinquains, kennings poems, haiku, or acrostic poems. All of these pre-made poetry templates enable children to add images from our clip art library, images they've drawn themselves, or images saved on the device they are using. They can also drag and drop some clip art into their template. They can use the text editing toolbar at the top right here to change the size of the font, the color, the type of font, and whether it's centered, etc. The think about prompts on the left-hand side will give your children some ideas for when they're writing their poems, as well as giving them an idea of the kind of form that this poem will take. In addition to using the pre-made poetry templates that we've seen here in the English area, you can use the Purple Mash tools such as 2Publish, 2Publish Plus, 2Connect, 2Create a Story to inspire your children's poetry writing. Let's have a look at 2Publish Plus, and I'm going to show you one of my very favourite templates, this one here, the page border, portrait and landscape. So I'm going to design a border based on what my poem is all about, and I'm writing a Valentine's poem. So I'm going to click inside this magnifying glass here, select the red pen, draw a love heart, perhaps colour it in a little bit. And as you can see, that's created a pre-made border around my writing template, and I could write my poem inside here using my text editing toolbar. So there is my completed Valentine's poem. Now, to really spruce up my poetry, I can edit the background settings down the bottom here. I can choose a background color. Let's choose this, and I can increase and decrease the relative opacity of my border, or I could choose a background image. I could use one of the pre-made built-in backgrounds from the clip art picker. I could choose an image I had made either in my Purple Mash work, for example, this piece of art that I created in 2Paint a Picture. That has now become my background, and I can increase or decrease the relative opacity of my background. There we go. Here is another example of a poem I've written about a rainforest, which used the picture and text template here in 2Publish. With this template, I'm going to edit the background settings again. This time I'm going to click Set Image and choose a file from my PC. Here is a rainforest image that I've downloaded previously, and I'm going to open that. That has now become my background, and I can again increase and decrease the relative opacity of my background. Another thing that your children can do is to record themselves reading their poems and embed that audio onto the template itself. So if I drag this sound icon here into my page, I now have the options that pop up here. The one I'm going to select is this little quaver icon, choose a sound. I could use some of the pre-made sounds, or I could use the record option at the top right here, which will access the microphone on my device, and I can record my own voice reading my poem. That will now play for everyone to hear when I click on the green play button. Rainforest by Danica Chapman. I now want to share my poem with my friends in my class, across the school, or perhaps with my parents. I can do that using my drop-down menu and click the share button. Children can share their work using any one of these three bottom options or the share link at the top. I'm going to select the display board option first of all. As the class teacher, I have created this Year 4 Poetry Corner display board, which is like a pin board inside Purple Mash, and I'm going to select that and click OK. I can also share it to my class poetry blog. Here is how to do that. Click on the drop-down menu, click the share button and select blog about your work. Here is the Poetry Corner blog that the teacher's created. I would need to add a title, I could add a summary, and I could add some text and further images or videos, etc. inside the body of the blog itself. Let's do that now. I'm going to save and publish my blog post now. Let's have a look at the display board and the blog to see where they are. If I come up here to the sharing tab, here is the display board I shared my work to. I can click on that and open it up in the big screen. Let's have a look at the blog, which is again in the sharing area. Let's go to the shared blogs area and select the class poetry corner. Here you can see a blog post. If I click on that there, I can see the poem itself, which I can click on to preview the work in the large screen and hear the audio as well. I've also included in this blog post a link to a video which will take me to YouTube where I can hear some rainforest sounds. Underneath, children in my class will have the option to add comments. Any work that children share to a display board or to a blog needs to be approved by a teacher before it goes live. If you would like more information on how to manage the display boards and blogs for your class, the guide videos can be found here in the sharing area. To help inspire the poets in your class, why not engage your children in some shared poetry writing? We can use a number of the Purple Mash tools to scaffold and adapt the learning to help build strong and confident poets. Let's have a look at 2Connect, which is a mind mapping tool. Here is an example of a mind map that we will use as a whole class as a stimulus of ideas for our autumn poems. I can also make this a collaborative document by saving it to a shared folder so that small groups of children can work on it together. I could also set this as a to-do using the share options in the menu here and select set as a to-do. You'll notice the work collaboratively checkbox is selected there. That will enable small groups of children or the entire class to work on this one document at the same time. Once you have completed the mind map, you can use the text editing feature of 2Connect to begin composing your poem by clicking on the text in each of the nodes of the mind map. This text then forms the basic vocabulary around which you can create your finished poem. 2Write is also another brilliant tool that you can use to stimulate collaborative poetry writing with your class, either in small groups or as a whole class. Using the collaborative writing mode in 2Write enables pupils to contribute to a piece of writing and work on a document together. In order for children to be able to use the collaborative functionality of 2Write and 2Connect, you'll need to check the admin settings here in the e-safety settings and ensure that allow pupils to create collaborative work is checked. You'll also need to ensure that children have access to shared folders in the Manage Users area. If you have a subscription to Serial Mash in your school, you can access some brilliant stimulus for writing poetry here from the reading area. Next to the age-related libraries of books here, we have a collection of poetry. There are some fabulous poems in here that you can read along with. You can hear the audio at the
All
same
but
time.
blind, in his chambered hole, gropes for worms, the four-clawed mole.
You can also watch the story being read by an actor.
All but blind, in his chambered hole, gropes for worms, the four-clawed mole.
Why not read some of the poems written by children that were submitted to the 2022 poetry competition? You can watch Leona Lewis reading the winning entries for the 3 age categories.
I bring the ice, the wind, the snow, the icicles that seem to glow.
There are so many ideas in Purple Mash to inspire the learners in your class to read, create and share their own poetry. To discuss any of these ideas further with a member of our professional development team, why not book a Mash chat or a staff CPD session, or check out our other professional development options here in the teachers area.